Over here is your own trench line. It is well protected by your infantry, barbed wire and machine gun nests. But over there, across no man's land, the enemy has dug themselves in and is watching your position from the safety of their own trenches. If we want to win this war, we have to drive them back. Welcome to Iron Resolve. In this World War I board game, you will take on the role of a local commander on the front lines. In this video, you'll learn all the rules for how to set up the board, how to play the game and most importantly, how to lead your side to victory. The Western Front edition of Iron Resolve comes with two factions, the French Republic and the German Empire. The factions are represented by their faction card, distinctly colored units and their own iconic vehicles. The gameplay is symmetrical, meaning that no matter which side you play on, the mechanics will be the same. Iron Resolve allows players to simulate battles ranging from 1914 to 1918. This is done by picking one of the 5 year cards. These cards show all the available terrain, weapons, ordnances, equipment and units available during that time. For this tutorial video, we'll dive straight into the inferno of early 20th century warfare by picking the 1918 year card. Terrain. Before us we have the basic board with 2 frontline trenches. By following these simple instructions, we will quickly transform it into one of the many possible configurations that make every battle different. In 1918, each player will be granted 2 communication trenches, 2 forward steps, 2 bunkers and 3 shell holes. These will be placed on the board according to section 3 of the rules manual on terrain. First, we split all our terrain cards evenly across both sides of our front line. Here you'll see that the tiles on your trench are marked with numbers ranging from 1 to 6. Pick one of the trench cards and roll the dice. Now put it on the corresponding number on the trench. We'll repeat this until all the trench cards have been placed. If the tile is already full, simply roll again. We'll do the same for the shell holes, but instead of putting them on our trench, we'll place them on row 7. Now the board is ready for use. Player cards. Both players receive a deck with weapons, ordnances and equipments according to the numbers indicated on the year card. In 1918, you'll receive 4 machine guns, 3 flamethrowers, 3 grenades, 3 airplanes, 3 poison gas and 5 artillery cards. For the equipments, you'll always have 10 cards. You will receive 2 shovels, 2 whistles, 2 bayonets, 2 wire cutters and 2 gas masks. During this stage, you can choose to switch up to 4 of these cards for rations instead. Troops. Each player starts with some units already on the battlefield. These will be deployed according to section 5. Place the 8 starting infantry anywhere in your trench. You can even put 2 of them on the same tile. Now we need to place 8 barbed wire in front of our trench. These must be placed in pairs next to each other, with at least one of them next to an infantry unit inside of a trench. The tanks are placed on row 1 and the turrets must be placed on the bunker tile. The remaining troops are put next to the board. These will be able to arrive on the battlefields as reinforcements later. You may have noticed that cavalry is marked with an X. That means that it's not available during this year of the war, and so it does not go into the reinforcement pool. Now that both players have set up their side of the board, the battle is about to begin. Starting player. Both players pick an equipment card from their hand and place it face down on their first turn slot. Then they both roll a dice. The player with the highest rolling dice will have the first turn. The other player is allowed to deploy 1 ordnance and 1 weapon by placing the corresponding template on the board and discarding the chosen card. Player's turn. The French player had the highest dice roll, so they will begin their first turn by following the steps in section 6. For this tutorial, we'll cover the perspective of the French side. Phase 1. Reinforcements. Each turn you will have up to 3 points to spend on reinforcements. In section 5, you'll be able to see the cost of each unit. Infantry, a pair of barbed wire and a turret all cost 1. Deploying a tank costs 2. Activating the equipment card costs 1 as well. Seeing that all our turrets and tanks are already on the board, the only reinforcement options are placing barbed wire and infantry. In this example, we'll go with 3 infantry units. These can be deployed anywhere on row 1. It is advised to place them inside the communication trench for protection during the next phase. Because infantry only takes up half a tile space, we can put 2 of them on the same tile. Let's place 1 pair over here and the other unit in the other communication trench. Phase 2. Survival. If our troops come under attack, they must move 1 tile to safety. In this case, the German side has deployed an artillery on our trench line, and this attacks our infantry and barbed wire. The infantry can all move one tile to safety, but the barbed wire can never move and is destroyed, so we'll put it back into our reinforcement pool. Next up is attrition. Since all the troops are safely stationed inside of a trench, we don't have to roll attrition for this turn. Phase 3. Orders. Placing an ordnance. Ordnances are the firing orders from the commander and can be placed anywhere on the board. Let's pick an airplane from our hand and place the corresponding airplane template on the board in front of the German trench. Positioning the troops. Now all our troops, with the exception of barbed wire and turrets, can move up to 3 tiles. We start by repositioning our most forward units first and move our way backwards. The infantry and tanks cannot safely move through the German artillery, so they will have to go around it. Placing a weapon. Weapons are directly used by the troops on the ground. The template must be placed next to an infantry unit with the indicator pointing directly towards it. Right now we see no good option to effectively deploy any of our weapons, so we'll save the card in our hand instead. Equipments. These are used to provide a boost to the infantry. Each of these cards provides a different effect, as can be found in section 7. Every turn the player must play one equipment card, and the effect can be activated on the next turn. So we must plan accordingly and make a wise choice. Which card will be the most beneficial? I suspect that the German player will try to drive us back from the shell hole by using a gas attack, so let's choose the gas mask. Our turn has now been completed. Let's see what the German side is up to. Phase 1. Reinforcements. They activate their equipment card, which turns out to be the rations. This allows them to deploy 2 extra infantry units for free. They are going to deploy some extra barbed wire, but are not allowed to place it where my airplane is attacking. Instead, they place it somewhere else in front of their trench. To quickly respond to my attack on the flank, they take some risk and deploy the infantry outside of cover to get there faster. Phase 2. Survival. Safety. None of their units have to move to safety. Attrition. For every infantry unit outside of a trench or a shell hole, they have to roll a dice once. On a roll of 1, they are destroyed. Unfortunately for them, they lose one of their infantry units and it is sent back to the reinforcement pool. Phase 3. Orders. All the templates from their previous turn are now removed from the board. As I had expected, they choose to deploy gas attack right on my troops. Positioning. The German player can now send his troops forward into no man's land. Some of his infantry are blocked by my airplane and cannot move forward. Weapon. They deploy a grenade against my infantry to drive them back from the shell hole. Equipment. They must choose another equipment card and place it face down on the next turn slot to end their turn. Now it's the French turn again. We repeat the same steps as before. I can save my infantry by choosing to reveal the gas mask equipment card. This allows them to ignore the effect of the gas attack. I place my remaining reinforcements on the board, roll for attrition, and go on to the orders phase. The game continues like this until both sides have played 10 turns and all their equipment cards are placed on the turn slots. Scoring points. For every infantry unit ending its orders phase in the enemy's trench, you earn 1 victory bond. The first player that manages to do this also earns the medal card, which serves as a tiebreaker. Additionally, the player with the most infantry left on the board at the end of the battle earns 1 extra victory bond. Now that each player has had 10 turns, it's time to count points to decide the outcome. In this example, the Germans have scored 3 victory bonds and the French has 2 victory bonds and a medal card, because they were the first to reach the opponent's trench. We still have to count which side has the most infantry left on the board. The French have 2 more infantry remaining and score 1 additional victory bond. This leads to both sides being tied on score with 3 points, but because the French side also has the medal card, they win the battle. Control zone. Each unit has their own control zone. This is the amount of terrain they are able to protect against enemy units and prevent them from moving here. Infantry and barbed wire have 1. The tank, turret and cavalry have 2. By moving 2 infantry on the same tile, you can also extend their control zone. Enemy troops inside this control zone are then forced to move away during their survival phase, if they are vulnerable to the unit. Equipment cards. The whistle allows the infantry to move 1 extra tile during the orders phase, up to a total of 4 tiles. The gas mask allows your infantry to ignore the effects of poison gas during all phases. You are still not allowed to deploy gas on your own troops, but you are allowed to move through it during positioning. With the shovel, infantry outside the protection of a trench or a shell hole do not have to roll dice for attrition this turn. With the wire cutters, infantry during the orders phase can move on the same tile as barbed wire, immediately destroying it. The unit doing so must stop their movement there. This allows you to cut holes through the enemy defenses and move your other units into the trench during the same turn. With the bayonet, your infantry treat the enemy infantry control zone as if reduced by 1. This allows them to charge at single enemy infantry troops and move on the same tile to immediately destroy them. They must end their movement there. By using rations, you can deploy extra infantry units. Instead of spending the 3 reinforcement points as usual, instead you spend 1 point to refuel the cart and then immediately deploy 2 infantry units on the board. You can use the remaining points to freely choose which other troops to deploy. If there is a symbol on the bottom right of the equipment cart, that indicates that the effect only applies to that specific phase of your turn. Special rules. Infantry really are the backbone of your army. They are the only troops capable of capturing the opponent's trench to score victory bonds. If during the survival phase they are forced to abandon the enemy's trench, they are immediately destroyed. However, as long as they remain inside the enemy's trench, they can score 1 victory bond per turn. During the orders phase, your troops can move 3 tiles in any direction. One exception to this is that for infantry, their movement backwards outside of a trench is limited to 1. Cavalry. Similar to the bayonet effect, cavalry can charge at a single enemy infantry unit by moving on the same tile and immediately destroying that unit. Barbed wire. These must always be deployed in pairs of 2. If you only have 1 barbed wire in your reinforcement pool, it cannot be placed on the board. They must also be placed with at least 1 barbed wire on a tile directly next to an infantry unit inside of a trench. Barbed wire are the only unit types that allow you to place your own templates on top of them, disregarding friendly fire. If you place an artillery strike of your own on your barbed wire, it will be destroyed during the next survival phase. Similarly, they can be destroyed by your own tanks or infantry by using the wire cutter effect. Tanks. The unstoppable tank can drive over barbed wire. This is done similar to the wire cutter effect, but can be applied in every phase. Turrets. These can only be placed on the bunker tile. Similar to the barbed wire, they can only be built when an infantry unit is nearby. During the positioning phase, the model of the turret can be switched out for a closed turret token. This makes it invulnerable to almost everything, but also reduces its control zone to 0. As long as the bunker tile is considered unsafe, for example if it's covered by a grenade, the turret cannot be opened again. In this state, it can only be destroyed if the bunker is captured by enemy infantry. You have come to the end of the rules overview video. Of course, further details can be found in the rules manual. The latest updates on the rules can also be found on my website janovich.nl. As the creator of Iron Resolve, I hope you will have a great time playing this game. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.